Before I do anything else, there's just something I want to mention real quick. As some of you know, for the last 2 years or so, I've been doing QCW Radio on blogtalkradio.com. Well, we had our last episode on Monday. Now, we ended it because Blog Talk was starting to charge money for use of the site, and, well, none of us wanted to pay it. And I had a lot of fun doing the show, and it sucks that it's over now, but we got closure on it. We said our goodbyes and our thank yous and everything. But there's one person that I forgot to thank, and that's you. All our listeners who made the show possible, all my subscribers who tuned in. If people weren't listening to the show, it would not have existed. And the fact that we went on for, 2+ years is all because of you. So I just wanted to give a big thank you to every single one of you out there. You're the reason we did the show. You're the reason that I make these videos, and I know it's kind of a cliched thing to say, but without you, there would be no me. Yeah. That's right, Matt Hardy. I fucking stole your catchphrase! And I do it again! Yeah. That'll teach him to try to rip off our evil twin gimmick. Gimmick? Oh shit, we're breaking kayfabe! Cut! Maybe I've lost my mind. Maybe it's because I knew about the Steiner thing weeks in advance and had time to mentally prepare myself. Maybe after all this time I've just gotten numb to all the stupid stuff this company does. But I actually liked iMPACT this week. Now don't get me wrong, they do not get a pass on bringing Steiner back, but I've already been over that before. The reason I like the show this week is that, for once, a lot of my usual complaints were addressed. The show wasn't jam-packed full of stuff. They didn't try to do too much, so the result was that when they tried to focus on specific things, those things had a chance to stand out and resonate with the audience. There was still some stupid stuff, but I guess that goes without saying at this point. One thing I really appreciated was that Abyss was not on the show. He was off TV selling the injury from last week. Thank God. Remember at Bound for Glory when he took a shot from Janice to the gut and then an hour later he was perfectly fine? This is better. Hopefully he'll be gone for a while. They had a good opening segment that set up the main event. Right out of the gate I was nervous that they were going to do a repeat of last week with this Kurt, Jeff, Karen crap taking over the whole damn show. Fortunately they reined it in this week. Also, Bischoff was kept to a bare minimum and Hogan was still gone. Thank you. As we've established previously, the show is better when we see as little of those two as possible. Anyway, the segment does what it needs to do. Kurt Angle is reinstated and it sets up the main event with him and Crimson versus Immortal. Here's the problem. They start out with a good match. They have Angle and Crimson versus Beer Money and Kaz. It's still a handicap match, the faces are still at a disadvantage, but then they have to go and add Gunnar Murphy and Rob Terry to it. Why? I don't know. The match would be infinitely better without them, and TNA knows this. They know it. That's what baffles me about this. In the pre-match promo, Ric Flair basically tells us that Gunnar Murphy and Rob Terry all suck. And then during the match, I don't think any one of them even tagged in. They just did the big beatdown at the end. Again, TNA, I have to ask, if you have to jump through all these hoops just to hide the fact that these guys have no talent, why the fuck are you using them at all? Whatever. They never got a chance to tag in. Good. The match wasn't really long enough for them to ruin it anyway. Question. How can Ric Flair reinstate Kurt Angle? After Bischoff and Hogan stole the company from Dixie and then she slapped an injunction on Hogan, I thought Bischoff was more or less the only guy in charge. How does Flair have the power to reinstate wrestlers? Did Bischoff empower him to do this? Because they never told us that. And even if Flair did reinstate Angle, can't Bischoff just overturn that decision if it pisses him off so much? I don't know. So that didn't make sense, but if you can get past that part, it was a decent segment. And they put over Crimson again, which was good. They fucked that up later on, but I'll get to that in a minute. Ken Anderson was actually booked like a world champion this week, imagine that. He was featured in more than one segment, like a world champion should be. He cut a good promo on Jeff Hardy, and he won a match against Matt Hardy, both segments hyping the title match for next week. Okay, good. Now, some people might think it's too early for Matt Hardy to be doing jobs and that he should be positioned to cash in on whatever quote-unquote star power he has. And I might agree with that if Matt looked or felt like a star right now, but he doesn't. First of all, in that promo he cut before the match, he sounded drunk. I don't know if he was or not, but he was slurring his speech, he sounded drunk. Second of all, he's still wrestling like he's in WWE, meaning he's slow as hell. Third, he doesn't look good at all. He's in better shape than he was in WWE, but the Fat Hardy nickname is not going away if he stays like this. And yeah, I know he's had some health problems that messed him up physically, but hey, that's life. Shit happens. You're on TV, you need to look the part. If you're at a point where you can't get rid of that gut no matter what you do, wear a fucking shirt when you're in the ring. So, I don't have a problem with Matt Hardy jobbing this soon because he really hasn't delivered anything in the ring or on the mic since he showed up, and honestly, I think signing him was a mistake. They had an actual X Division match. It was good. It wasn't 2 minutes long, so they got a chance to actually deliver something. It wasn't overbooked all to hell. It had a point to it. It hyped a pay-per-view match. It got over the important things. Kazarian has the title. These three guys want it. Pretty simple stuff, but TNA often find a way to screw up simple stuff. This week they got it right. Max Buck gets into the #1 contenders match. I don't have a problem with that. He wouldn't have been my first choice, but he'll do a fine job. The Pope cut a good promo on Samoa Joe. I still have no idea why these guys are feuding, or what they're feuding about, really. And it still doesn't make any sense to me when you've got a top heel faction with like 14 people in it, and two of the best guys who should be opposing them are feuding with each other. That's just stupid. But the promo was good, even though I still think it's an uphill battle to get fans to boo the Pope. They had a knockout elimination match. There were 6 women in the match, and astonishingly, every woman got her entrance shown. And when they're not cutting out people's entrances, that means the show is not overly pressed for time. And this match actually got some good time. They were in there for a while, so they had a chance to advance several storylines without it feeling like a rushed clusterfuck. Also, Velvet Sky and Madison Rayne were the first ones eliminated. Good. The match was better as a result. Now, granted, this match did have its share of botches, but it would have been a lot worse if they'd been in there longer. And the way Madison was eliminated was just idiotic. I mean, these writers are just doing everything they could possibly think of to get that loaded glove over, and it's just not happening. Probably because the woman wearing the loaded glove is not over. The match was botchy at points, but I appreciated that they gave it some time. Not sure where they're going with this feud, though. I think they'll probably do a fatal 4-way for the title at Against All Odds. I'm cool with that. Just no more Madison Rayne in singles matches, please. Enough is enough. Also, this Winter storyline is starting to go somewhere. It kind of feels like they're pulling the trigger on her heel turn too quickly, though. I mean, her and Angelina haven't had a single title defense, and they're already having tension. Don't like that. But the segment with Velvet and Winter was good for what it was. As I said, I like Winter's character, and she is a pretty decent actress. My issue with her is that she hasn't been bringing it in the ring yet. I'm hoping that'll change when she shakes off the ring rust, because she's not a bad worker. At least I don't know her to be a bad worker. I think the problem with Winter right now is that this could be another case of the gimmick hindering the wrestler. And we've seen this in TNA before. It happened with Roxy when she was doing the voodoo thing. So Winter's gimmick is that she's soft-spoken, and then the switch flips and she turns into this wild, crazy woman. I think that's what's messing her up, because when she does the crazy thing in a match, she just gets you down on the mat, and she's like, They need to tone down that part of her character. If they can ease off on the crazy thing and just let her wrestle, I think she'll do better. And while I'm on the women, I guess I should mention this. I don't know if this is confirmed yet, but it seems likely at this point. It looks like TNA signed a new knockout. Davina Fly. I know virtually nothing about her, but apparently she's Amazing Red's cousin. I heard that somewhere. So that's cool if it's true. Hopefully wrestling ability runs in the family. So I'll tell you what, dye her hair red, call her Ruby, put her in a faction with red and crimson, and maybe they can do something. I don't know what kind of worker she is, but I saw a training video of her on YouTube. She seems like she has talent, but as I understand it, she's really young and inexperienced. So unless she really impressed the hell out of management in her tryout, I don't know if I would have picked her up. Personally, I would have much preferred they signed Jennifer Blake, and I don't know why the hell they haven't offered her a contract yet. I know her tryout went really well, and it was against Madison Rayne. And if TNA plans to continue this baffling push of Madison Rayne. They need women who can carry her to good matches. If Jennifer Blake proved she can do that, then sign her. Sign her right fucking now. And then we get to the main event. Now, it was a handicap match, but that's kind of a tame gimmick, so it wasn't enough to set off the gimmick overload alarm. Still, this was the only part of the show that was really problematic for me. Generally, the show was well-paced until this segment. This match needed more time, but it was 10:57 and they had to end it. Maybe I should be glad the match was so short, because if it had been any longer, Gunnar Murphy and Rob Terry might have tagged in. Regardless, this was a show that really needed an overrun. And unfortunately, they lost the overrun when Reaction got cancelled, which I really don't understand. If Impact went into an overrun, then Reaction would also go into an overrun, so either way, they were going over their allotted time. But without Reaction, they can't do the overrun anymore. That does not make sense to me at all. Anyway, the match was really brief, and the real failure here is that they completely dropped the ball on Crimson. They built this dude up like a big star. Then in his first match, it's a main event with Kurt Angle as his partner, but he doesn't get a chance to be showcased at all. He's in the ring for maybe 60 seconds, he tags out, he gets beat down, and then he vanishes. And that was really weird. The announcers kept saying that he was getting his ass kicked outside the ring, but the cameras never showed it. It's like he wasn't there anymore. That was a huge production fail right there, and not good booking in the match at all. Kurt Angle should have started out the match, and then get isolated for a few minutes so they could build up to Crimson getting the hot tag, and then he could have him clean house, and after you've made Crimson look like a stud, then you have them get overwhelmed. Now, he did look good while he was in the ring. I mean, he looked pretty agile for a guy his size, but he barely had a chance to do anything before the obligatory beatdown started. And I actually tolerated this beatdown because of how Mike TNA sold it. Not because he was good or anything, but when he was like, "Oh, what a bunch of bullshit," it made me laugh. Mike TNA is really funny when he gets angry. He's not supposed to be. It's completely unintentional, but he is, and it's entertaining. As for Scott Steiner being back, yeah, I know, I'm not happy about it either. And I already explained my reasons why. At least Steiner's willing to job to the young guys when they ask him to, but that's not softening the blow much at all. But I'm assuming Crimson and Matt Morgan are going to be a part of this new Main Event Mafia faction, so they've got 2 young guys in there, which is better than a team of half-crippled dinosaurs we had to suffer through last time. I hope to God Steiner's the only old-timer they're bringing back, but I have a bad feeling about where this is all heading. If they actually bring back Sting and Nash and Booker T, then I'll have to go back to looking for my suicide pills again. But at any rate, most of the show was focused on building up the February 3rd Impact, and they have hyped the hell out of that show. More so than they hype most of their pay-per-views, so I'm expecting a good rating next week. They better hope they get a good rating, or else they will have sacrificed the Against All Odds hype for nothing. I imagine they'll get at least a 1.3, 1.4, unless the writers completely drop the ball on that show, which is entirely possible. So, TNA, do yourselves a favor. Next week, don't book any 5-minute cage matches that end in a DQ, okay? See you then.